Hola, mi gente. Today we'll uncover the story of Abraham's sons, the promises God made to them, and how their family conflict still affects the world today. Abraham, aka the father of many nations, was called by God to leave his home. He became the beginning of a story that still shapes our world. In Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 to 3, it says, "The Lord had said to Abram, Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you, and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you." Abraham had two sons, one through Sarah, his wife, and one through Hagar, his concubine. God had plans for both, but only one would carry the covenant. In Genesis chapter 16, verses 15 and 16, it says, "So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram gave the name Ishmael to the son she had born." And in Genesis chapter 21, verses 1 to 3, it says, "Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah, as he had said. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age. Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him." God's promises to each son. God promised to bless Ishmael too, but the special covenant and future of God's people would come through Isaac. There was blessings for both and the covenant for just one. Remember, Ishmael was the father of many nations, and Isaac was chosen for the covenant and the promised land. In Genesis chapter 17, verses 18 to 21, it says, "And Abraham said to God, If only Ishmael might live under your blessing." Then God said, "Yes, but your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you will call him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will surely bless him, but my covenant I will establish with Isaac." Now remember, y'all, Isaac is Israel, and Ishmael is Iran. What nations came from the two sons? From Isaac came the Jewish people and the nation of Israel. From Ishmael came Arab nations, and over time, many Muslims, including Iran, trace spiritual roots back to him. In the Bible, Genesis chapter 25, verses 12 to 18, it says, "This is the account of the family line of Abram's son Ishmael. These were the sons of Ishmael," and it goes to name them, "and they settled from Havilah to Surah. They lived in hostility toward all the tribes related to them." Now, where it says from Isaac came the Jewish people, right? So basically, that's saying that from Isaac, one of his sons, Jacob, came the 12 tribes, and then the 12 tribes turned into the nation of Israel. Okay? So from Ishmael, there were 12 sons. The 12 sons turned into the Arab tribes. From the Arab tribes, later on, it was linked to it links back to Muhammad. Okay? I hope you guys are understanding me so far. I did a lot of research and my mind is fried because I learned a lot of new things. And I hope I'm covering everything that gets you guys to understand the history between these two nations. Where the conflict began, the separation that started it all. Jealousy and separation led to division, and that pain has echoed through generations. In Genesis chapter 21, verses 8 through 10, it says, "But Sarah saw that the son whom Hagar, the Egyptian, had born to Abraham was mocking, and she said to Abram, 'Get rid of that slave woman and her son. He will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac.'" So basically, that says Ishmael was mocking Isaac. Sarah demanded them to leave. She was telling Abraham to get rid of them. So Abraham sent Hagar and Ishmael away. And the sons were divided, and in the Bible, that's where the tension began. All right, y'all. So let's fast forward real quick. So today, Iran versus Israel. Ancient brothers, modern enemies. Today, Iran and Israel are bitter enemies. What started as a sibling rivalry has become a high stakes global conflict, now involving nuclear threats. So, Iran and not Iran's Islamic regime denies Israel's right to exist. Iran funds anti Israel groups such as Hamas, Hezbollah, and even the Houthis. The leader has even threatened Israel with nuclear weapons. And I got this from my source was from AP News and Al Jazeera. It says Iran's supreme leader calls for the destruction of Israel and funds militant groups that attack it. Now, this story that I just read to you guys, it's calculating in my mind as, like, just to sum it up, baby mama drama. Because it wasn't even the sons that were beefing in the beginning. You know, like, all right, that's what siblings do. They mock each other. But I feel like Sarah felt some type of way towards Hagar, and she used that as the opportunity to tell her husband, Abraham, like, yo, bro, this isn't cool. You need to get rid of them. And that's what Abraham did. So the current conflict over there in the Middle East is over baby mama drama. You know, like, it's funny to me because of how I'm looking at it, but it's sad because you got all these lives lost. And yeah, I know at the end all of this is supposed to happen because we're waiting on the second coming of Jesus, right? So I get it. But y'all, I mean, am I wrong? Like, over baby mama drama. It's crazy to me. So some of y'all might even ask, why should we care? Why does this matter? Understanding the Bible helps us understand the world today because the past is still shaping the present. This ancient story helps explain modern headlines. It's about more than politics. It's about faith, family, and prophecy. The Bible holds the key to understanding it all. In Romans chapter 15, verse 4, it says, "For everything that was written in the past was written to teach us." Now I'm going to do something a little different and talk about the perspective of the Muslims. Let's take a moment to understand how this story is viewed from the perspective of Islam, according to the Quran. In Islam, Abraham is called Ibrahim with an I, and he's one of the greatest prophets. He's honored as a friend of God, a man of pure faith, and the one who brought monotheism to many nations. Monotheism is the belief in the existence of one God, or in the oneness of God. It comes from the Greek words mono, meaning one, and theism, meaning God. Abraham had two sons, Ismail, who is Ishmael, and Isaac, who is Isaac. Muslims believe Ishmael was the firstborn, the son of Hagar. And like in the Bible, Isaac came later through Sarah. But here's where the story shifts a little bit. In the Quran, God tests Abraham's faith by commanding him to sacrifice his son. The son agrees, showing full submission to God's will. But just as Abraham is about to carry out the sacrifice, God stops him and provides a ram instead. The Quran doesn't name the son directly, but Islamic tradition teaches it was Ishmael and not Isaac. This moment is so important in Islam. It's remembered every year during the festival of the sacrifice. Now, in the Bible, Genesis chapter 22, verse 2, both the Christians and the Jews believe this. It says, God speaks to Abraham and says, "Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you." Abraham obeys without hesitation. He takes Isaac, wood for the fire, and travels to the mountain. Isaac notices something's missing. Father, the fire and wood are here, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? In Genesis chapter 22, verse 7, Abraham responds, God himself will provide the lamb. Just as Abraham is about to sacrifice Isaac, an angel of the Lord stops him. God sees that Abraham was willing to give up his son and provides a ram caught in a bush as a substitute. Now, Muslims also believe that Abraham and Ishmael built the Kaaba in Mecca, the holiest site in Islam. Together, they prayed that a righteous prophet would come from their family. Muslims believe that this prayer was answered through Prophet Muhammad, who is a descendant of Ishmael. So, in Islam, the line of Ishmael is honored, not rejected. He is seen as the beginning of the Muslim nation. Now, what about Jesus? Muslims deeply respect Jesus, aka Isa, as a prophet and the Messiah, but they don't believe he is the Son of God or divine. In Islam, there is no Trinity. God is one, without partners, without sons. They believe Jesus will return at the end of time, not to reign as king, but to defeat evil and confirm the truth of God's message. So, what does all of this mean? In the Bible, Isaac is the child of promise. In Islam, Ishmael is the one whose obedience shines. Both sons are honored, both are loved by God, and yet their descendants still struggle to live in peace. The divide between Jews and Muslims, between Israel and nations like Iran, has its spiritual roots in this ancient family. But while the Bible and Qur'an differ in some details, they both teach that Abraham's story is about faith, obedience, and God's greater plan. Maybe the real lesson is, even when families break apart, God still works through both sides. Even when people disagree, God's purpose still moves forward. And as Christians, Muslims, and Jews all look for the return of Jesus or the fulfillment of the prophecy, one thing is definitely clear: the story isn't over yet.